And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Friday, July 26th. We have a lot to talk about on the show today. Before I get into that, just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate and get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the following link. That is GSMCPodcast.net. Really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is GSMCPodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker at the bottom of the show segment down below. So with that being said, let's get into what we are going to talk about today. So we're going to start off the show. We're going to rank the running backs in the NFC North. So that'll get us started for today. In the second part of the show, I'll talk about some comments made by Jerry Jones regarding, some of the star players, Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. We've talked about them a lot, but just talking about them because, they're looking for new contracts, and obviously Micah Parsons will be the next one looking for a new contract. So I wanted to get into what he had to say. Then we'll also talk about Saquon Barkley. We'll talk about the Diana Rossini interview that he had, kind of opening up about him leaving the Giants and going to the Eagles, because I did listen to that yesterday. So I'll give you my thoughts on that. Then in the fourth part of the show, we'll talk about there were reports out there that Kyle Shanahan offered Bill Belichick the defensive coordinator position on the 49ers, which he declined. So I wanted to talk about that. And then in the final part of the show, we'll talk about Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. So Cousins is cleared to practice. However, Raheem Morris does not want him to play in the preseason, so I just wanted to give you my thoughts on that as well. So that's the rundown for the show. So let's get into the first topic, which is ranking the running backs in the NFC North. So I know yesterday I just had the team logos for the NFC East because, with the Cowboys, you really don't know who the lead... you have an idea of who it could be, that Ezekiel Elliott maybe could take over and be the lead back. Just because of the familiarity, but I just did the logos. But here, you kind of have an idea of who the lead back is going to be for each of these teams, except for maybe one where it's going to be more of a committee. And you know what, with the Bears here, could be a committee as well, because you have DeAndre Swift, who they brought in, who I have at 4, but you also have Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson. But I just put DeAndre Swift because he probably is going to be the lead back. But yeah, so I have him at 4. And he actually had a really good season for the Eagles last year. Had over 1,000 yards, and he had a ton of carries, which was a career high. He had over 200 carries last year for the Eagles. And, he was one and done with them. They traded for him, and that was it. He ended up leaving. They obviously brought in Saquon Barkley, who is an upgrade. But, so 229 carries last season with the Eagles, and he had 1,049 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns, and he had 214 yards receiving and a receiving touchdown as well. And, yeah, he had a good season for them, 25 years old. He's going to be in the Bears offense now, which, like I said, you could see a little bit of Khalil Herbert, and of course Roschon Johnson. He's kind of like that the third down back, change of pace back. So, but yeah, Swift is probably going to be the lead back. I don't think he's going to get 229 carries, but he's going to get his workload. And with this division, I think all the running back rooms are solid. So it was kind of hard to rank them. I think 1 and 2 was probably 1 and 2 I thought was easier. 3 and 4 it was kind of tough. But yeah, I'm gonna put DeAndre Swift and the Bears at 4, and you kind of figure the Bears are gonna be a team that's gonna be throwing the football a lot more, more so than running it. But they could be a balanced attack this year. The Bears are one of the teams that I really liked what they did this offseason. So, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I got DeAndre Swift in the Bears backfield. I got them at 4. Then at 3, I got Aaron Jones. So, at one point, the Packers looked like they were going to have a really good running back duo with Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs, but that ended up not happening. They wanted Aaron Jones to take another pay cut. He didn't agree to that, and the Packers ended up letting him go, and he went and signed with the Vikings right away. And, Aaron Jones dealt with some injuries last year. And in the playoffs, though, he was great against the Cowboys, against the 49ers. Played really well. And I still think he's got some juice left in the tank. You also got Ty Chandler there as well, who was running the football decent for them when Alexander Madison, just wasn't doing it for him. Because Alexander Madison was great as the backup for Dalvin Cook, but then once he took over as lead back, he just did not play well, and now he is a member of the Raiders. So, yeah, Aaron Jones only had 656 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns in the regular season. Because, again, dealt with some injuries last year because he only played in... How many games did he play in? If I can pull it up here, of course, my phone's working slow. Yeah, he only played in 11 games last year in the regular season. And the year before that, in 2022, he played in all 17 games, had over 1,100 yards rushing, and still 2 rushing touchdowns. But yeah, in the playoffs, he was solid. Against the Cowboys, had a trio of touchdowns. He had 3 touchdowns, and he had 118 yards rushing, and then against the 49ers, he had over 100 yards. He had 108 yards, and a big chunk of that came from the 53-yard run that he had late in the game, which I thought, at that point, the Packers were going to win the game. But that ended up not happening. But yeah, I think, especially when you have, like, if J.J. McCarthy eventually takes over for Sam Darnold during the season, I mean, you're going to want to have that running game to balance him out and not put all the pressure on him. So I think Aaron Jones, if he stays healthy, he can catch passes out of the backfield. And like I said, I think he's still got some juice left in the tank. And like I said, you got Ty Chandler there, could also come in, keep Aaron Jones fresh. Aaron Jones is 29. He's going to be 30 in December. So, yeah, he's getting to that older age when it comes to running backs. So, but Aaron Jones has been a solid back. And you know what? I think he's going to do fine in Minnesota. I like Minnesota's offense a lot. It's really just the quarterback position where I have, an issue. Because, yeah, J.J. McCarthy's a rookie. But, Sam Darnold, I mean, I think Darnold could do okay. But, right now the quarterback position is a little bit of a question mark. But the smart move is J.J. McCarthy sits, I feel, and you have Darnold start, and then, ease J.J. McCarthy into it, not throw him in right away. But you know what? The Vikings have a good offense. And adding Aaron Jones, I think, is really going to improve this running game because the running game was a problem last year. So I think Aaron Jones solves that problem, at least, temporarily, because I don't think he's going to be, he's got maybe 1 or 2 good years left. But we'll see. So I got him at 3. And then I got Josh Jacobs at 2. Now, Josh Jacobs had a down year compared to what he had the previous season. In 2022, he had 340 carries, 1,653 rushing yards, and 12 rushing touchdowns. And he played in all 17 games. Last year, only played in 13 games, 233 carries, 805 yards rushing, and 6 touchdowns. So he's looking to bounce back this year, and he's going to be, he just turned 26 in February. Yeah, he's still got some good years left. And I think in this Packers offense, I think he's really going to shine. He's going to get the bulk of the carries. I know they brought back A.J. Dillon, but A.J. Dillon's kind of been a disappointment. They did also draft a running back as well. But, yeah, Josh Jacobs is going to be the guy. He's going to get the bulk of the carries. And, yeah, I expect him to bounce back. I think he can get over 1,000 yards again. Listen, the Packers offense, I'm really excited to see what they can do this year. Year 2 with Jordan Love. Now they got to figure out Jordan Love's contract situation. We understand that. Yeah, Josh Jacobs, I think is an upgrade over Aaron Jones in terms of just, Aaron Jones is getting older. Josh Jacobs is 26. I know, like I said, Aaron Jones has still got some good years left, but I think, you still got some years, you got some prime years left with Josh Jacobs. So, but I would have liked to have seen them keep Aaron Jones, and you have this great duo, because this would be one of the best duos in the NFL. in terms of the running backs. So that's my opinion, though. I think 2 is a solid spot for Josh Jacobs here. And then number 1, I don't think it's really a surprise. It's Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. The Lions did a really great job running the football last year. And it was a completely different backfield because the previous season you had Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. And then you draft Jahmyr Gibbs. You signed David Montgomery over from the Bears. They were a great duo last year. David Montgomery last year, in his first season with the Lions, he had over 1,000 yards. He had 219 carries, 13 rushing touchdowns. He was solid for them. And then, of course, Jahmyr Gibbs as well, pulling up his stats. Last year, he had 182 carries, 945 rushing yards, and 10 touchdowns. So, I mean, the Lions' backfield was unbelievable last year, and I anticipate that that's going to continue into this year. I mean, the Lions have one of the best offenses in the NFL in general. So, I see them continuing that success into 2024. Steelers Nation Australia in the chat says, "G'day, what's going on?" We talked about the Steelers a little bit yesterday with the quarterback competition, and now Russell Wilson actually is dealing with a little bit of a calf issue. So Justin Fields got to take some of the first team reps. So Steelers Nation, who would you rather see starting? Is it Russell Wilson or is it Justin Fields? Let me know. So, but yeah, so to kind of just go through it once again. I went the wrong way here. But, yeah, so 4, I got DeAndre Swift. 3, Aaron Jones. 2, Josh Jacobs. And then 1, I got Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery because they're both going to get their share of carries. So let me know what you guys think about those rankings. How would you rank the running backs in the NFC North? Again, tough to rank, I would say. So we're going to take our first break of the show, and I'm going to try to fix my camera issues during the break. And then when we come back, we'll talk about the Cowboys. We'll talk about some things Jerry Jones had to say about their stars on the Cowboys and, the contract situation. So we'll talk about that when we come back. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.